activity is called Sidewalk Chalk Story Retell. A lot of times when teachers see lessons like these, they will completely dismiss them because they think that sounds too hard, I'm not going to do that. In my opinion, it's for you guys that are a little bit perfectionist and you just put so much time into detail when really it's not that big of a deal. So what you're gonna do in this lesson is you're gonna take some sidewalk chalk and you're going to draw out Goldilocks and the Three Bears so that your kids can hop from one picture to the next and retell the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Now, being serious, don't dismiss this because you're like, oh no, I am not getting outside and drawing out a story. I want to show you how simple this really is. I'm going to draw it for you in less than a minute. I finished drawing it. It should take you less time because you're gonna see what I drew. I had to like come up with the little images right quick for myself. I'm gonna now flip the camera and show you something super simple that the kids can say, and they can do it their own way in their own words for however they want to retell the story. But it goes something like this. So once upon a time, there was a little girl named Goldilocks, and she went to a house that belonged to 3 bears. Nobody was home at the time, and she saw some food at the table, and she was hungry. She went to the first bowl, and she said, "This porridge is too hot." She went to the next bowl, and she said, "This porridge is too cold." She went to the next porridge and said, "This porridge is just right." Next, she decided she wanted to go to the living room and sit in the chairs, and so she sat in the big chair and said, "This chair is too hard." Then she sat in the next chair and said, "This chair is too soft." Then she sat in the next chair and she said, "This chair is just right." She started rocking until the chair broke into smithereens. The kids really like saying smithereens because the version we read says smithereens. Now I ran out of sidewalk, so I had to come over here. So she went upstairs into the bear's bed, and she went on the first bed. She got in the first bed and said, "This bed is too high." Then she went into the next bed and said, "This bed is too soft." Then she went into the last bed and said, "This bed is just right." She fell asleep. Just about that time. So now the kids would walk back to the beginning of the story. Just about that time, the 3 bears came home. And Papa Bear said, "Somebody's been eating my porridge." And Mama Bear said, "Somebody's been eating my porridge." And Baby Bear said, "Somebody's been eating my porridge, and it's all gone." Then Papa Bear said, "Somebody's been sitting in my chair." Then Mama Bear said, "Somebody's been sitting in my chair." And then Baby Bear said, "Somebody's been sitting in my chair," and they broke it to smithereens. Then Papa Bear says, "Somebody's been sleeping in my bed." And Mama Bear said, "Somebody's been sleeping in my bed." And then Baby Bear said, "Somebody's been sleeping in my bed." And there she is. And just about that time is when Goldilocks woke up, saw the 3 bears, and jumped out the window and ran away, never to be seen again. Now that I've swept my little butt off out there hopping around and talking and recording, do you see how simple that really is? It does not have to be complex. And hopefully if you draw it out, it doesn't rain, and this story will stay out there for a few days for the kids to be able to enjoy. Leave some sidewalk chalk out and you'll see the kids, especially your 4 and 5-year-olds, begin to write their own story retell. How cool is this? Sometimes it is the most simplest things, but we dismiss them because we make them too hard and we become perfectionists, when really we got to ask ourselves, what are we wanting the kids to learn? Does it really matter if it's a beautiful illustration? Do you need to spend an hour making it look beautiful? No. You just need to draw it, have the kids come outside, sit down, Show them what it looks like to hop from spot to spot or walk from spot to spot, and tell the story in their own words. Once you run through it one time, they're gonna get the hang of it and they're going to go retell the story over and over again. Like lesson ideas like this, go ahead, make sure you're following, and then comment sub. I have been creating these lesson plans weekly for you. You pay $10 once a month and you have all of your lesson plans done for you Monday through Friday from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, with little ideas like this sprinkled in even for your outside time. You can now do a 7-day trial. You get to check out the curriculum and see if it's something that you think would work for you and your classroom. And if you do this lesson, let me know. One of my favorite things is to get the messages from you guys saying how much your kids are enjoying the activities. Bye guys.